Hello and welcome to today's podcast. Today I've got Chris Thompson with me. Chris has been in the industry for probably less time than I thought, to be fair. But he's in his short sort of period of time of being in the industry has had a wealth of experience over in various different roles within the industry. And I thought what might be useful today is if sort of as we talk to Chris, that maybe it sort of gets you thinking about the different paths that your level 2 and your level 3 can potentially take you. Chris right now is a general manager. He's also running his own PT Qualifications business, umbrella PT training. So without further ado, let me hand you over to Chris. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Do us a favour, just talk to us a little bit about how you started in the industry and I suppose and why.
Yeah, of course. So I started in the fitness industry the back end of 2014, not that long ago. I never had any inkling to go into the fitness industry. Loved my sports. I was a big sports player when I was younger, but never really did any kind of exercise for a lot of my adult life. And then I had a bit of a health scare. I had a heart attack. So I had to sort of rethink about basically sort myself out. So I decided to start going to the gym and getting a little bit healthier, eating better and stuff like that. And, it was a chore at the start. And then after maybe 3 or 4 months, it became a little bit of a passion and a bit of an obsession. And yeah, just led on from there really. And then there was an opportunity arose for a personal trainer course. And I thought, you know what, I'm loving what I'm doing. I could maybe help others in a similar position, and decided to bite the bullet and put myself onto the course. And yeah, 6 weeks later, I started the course, and by the end of the year, I was finished and started my first role. I was in a lucky position, if I'm honest with you, where I'd put enough away to set myself a goal, and I knew I had a good 6 months where I could literally not earn a penny, and I would be fine. I could get by, and that was my initial thing. It was that I knew I couldn't go into this and think, right, I'll give it a couple of months, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'll go back to something else. I wanted to give it a good length of time so that if it worked, fantastic. If it didn't work for me, then at least I could say, well, do you know what? I give it everything I had, and it just didn't work. Yeah. Once I very quickly changed my mindset of how I was going to do things, from that second month, it just skyrocketed and it went through the roof, because I wasn't focusing on the money. I was focusing on delivering that service that would then in turn bring the income. So rather than trying to hard sell and push people or almost force people into paying for personal training, it was just having a chat with people, making them feel comfortable, and then sort of leaving it at that. See too much of the hard sell, and that's what puts people off. It makes it look like all you're interested in is earning that money. And ultimately, we're there to earn money, but you have to connect with the members. You have to connect with the people that are going to the gym, because if you don't, they're not going to pay you 30, 40 pound an hour for personal training. They've got to spend a lot of time with you, and you need that connection with people.
Yeah. I think you've made some really, really good points there. That ultimately you have to think longer term. You can't expect to and maybe you shouldn't expect to pick up a client in the first month. Maybe don't expect to pick up a client in the first 2 months. Not everybody's got the financial resource to throw at 2-3 months of no income. But if you're prepared for that, and that's part of your plan, and the softly approach does work, because it starts to build confidence, it starts to build trust, etc. And there has to be a period of learning as well in between. You finishing your level 3 and starting your role. A lot of us learn on the job, because you get qualified and then 2-3 weeks later you're in the gym. So that first 2 months in reality is learning the role, learning the tips, the techniques, the tricks, so to speak. But ultimately getting to know the potential client base, the potential member base, so that you become that go-to person. So I think that certainly interesting from there is that, you know, it's that sort of 6-month business plan that we could potentially talk about, a 2 or 3-month business plan, and maybe it should be 6. So talk to me about then the next wave of this for you then. So your business started to pick up. What happened next?
Well, I mean, this sort of happened quite early days as well. Obviously, the gym that I was working in, as part of those 15 hours, there was a requirement that you would be delivering classes. It would depend on the amount, but depending on what shift you're on, you would need to deliver some classes. So I'd done a few qualifications, your exercises, your circuits, spin, etc., as part of my my PT course. They were very, very minimal and sort of 1-day courses. If I'm honest, didn't have a clue what I was doing, even though I'd qualified in them, let's say. But yeah, my first week, one of the managers of the club told me to go up. I was meant to watch him deliver a kettlebell class, just to learn how it was put together and stuff like that. So he come to see me about 10 minutes before, and he says, "Oh, look, I've got to make a call." He says, "Do me a favor, you go up and do the warm up for me, and I'll be up in 5 minutes, and then I'll continue the class for you."
How many people were in the class? Out of interest.
There was a good 20 people, and this was a gym floor class right outside of the free weight section.
So you're on show.
So you can imagine. So you're on show to everybody, and you know what? I had no problem doing that. I was like, yeah, of course, no problem. I was like, give me a few things I can do, you know. So you give me a couple of things, showed me a few things for the warm up. I was like, right, yeah, no problem. That's all good. I goes up, does the warm up, and he hadn't turned up.
Not coming back, is he?
And I was like, right, okay, like I can't just say, hang on a minute, and run away. So, what the hell do I do here? So, I delivered probably the worst kettlebell class you could ever imagine in your life. It was basically half an hour of lunges and squats with a kettlebell, pretty much. And it was horrific. I felt angry, and I felt almost that was my reputation destroyed. First week, nobody is going to pay me for personal training because I can't even deliver a class. They're not interested whether I'm new or not. You know, I'm there delivering that class. So anyway, I remember going down after the class and approaching him, shall we say. And yeah, his words were, "That's the best way to get you into it, because you'll just do it and it'll come natural." I won't divulge what my response to that was, but it wasn't favorable, let's say. From that point, if I'm honest though, that could have went one of two ways for me. That could have me being, right, I'm done. That's not for me. That's not how you treat people, or you get people set up for the industry. But I took it the other way, and I was like, right, I can see the value that classes can add to your business, and how you can get a lot of business from that. And I went away. I had no inclination of doing any qualifications, but I just went away, YouTube, you know, any platform you can think of really. And I just watched hour after hour of different types of classes, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I went in a few days later, and I actually requested for that class to be changed over and given to me. And he was astonished that I'd even asked for that. But I'd done my research. I put a really good class together, and bless them, when I walked up to deliver the class, I saw a few eyes roll. A few people walked straight away before I even started. I delivered the class. They absolutely loved it, and it was one of the most popular classes in the gym from that point. That was what then drove sort of my start of my passion for group exercise. I thought, you know what? I absolutely love delivering to groups of people like this, and it is a great way to connect. And then that's when I started doing a lot of research myself for the standard classes, shall we say, your hits, your LBTs, your pumps and stuff like that. got into spin quite a bit as well. And then I discovered Les Mills, who I'd never even heard of the company or what they did. Absolutely fell in love with combat. And then, yeah, the rest is history, so to speak. So I now deliver 8 Les Mills programs, amongst many others. And yeah, just my passion for Group X has just escalated sort of year on year, month on month. And the value that being a good group exercise instructor can add to a PT business, for me, there's nothing that can compare to that. A lot of PTs don't like teaching classes, but that is where you are going to get the majority of your clients from, not the free weight section, as much as people might think.
You know, so what's probably quite interesting as well is that the terminology in this industry for the different roles. So, you know, if you deliver classes, you're a group exercise instructor. If you deliver personal training, which is typically one-to-one, you're a personal trainer. When you deliver a boot camp, which is effectively group exercise, you can still call yourself a personal trainer delivering a boot camp session. For people that don't know anything about this industry, and I remember talking to the guys in our finance department, certainly the ones that were new into the industry, they just called everybody a personal trainer because they didn't know any different. I'd also argue that potentially if you remove the word personal from it and become and just focus on the trainer aspect, then that actually covers everything. And I wonder going forward, you know, in 5, 10 years time, is that part of the evolution of the roles in our industry, that actually, you know, we become trainers who are multi-skilled at delivering group exercise, and multi-skilled at delivering personal training on a one-to-one. And the reason I say that is because a lot of the PT models that are certainly around at the minute expect personal trainers to deliver group exercise as part of their service hours. And like you say, there's that you weren't really, I mean, you kind of had a 1-day course in spin, and you had a 1-day course in I think you mentioned circuits or whatever, but you didn't really have that skill set. And the way that we end up typically learning on the job is go do a class. You're not the only person to tell me that story as well, that effectively you get thrown in. I've got 20 people here. Here's a class. Go teach it. And I was talking to somebody the other day. That can break you as a personal trainer. Or, you know, 100%. If you started in the industry and you started yesterday and your first day on the job, you're thrown in front of 20 people you're not prepared for. That's a shitty way to induct somebody. And typically the response is, it's the best way to learn. I'm not convinced that it is.
No, definitely not. I mean, for me personally, it can either destroy you or it can make you. And, you know, I think, like you say, you touched on before there, in this industry, unfortunately, because you're a personal trainer, it's assumed that you can deliver all aspects of that. Group exercise is completely different to personal training. It really is. And you either want to do it, or you enjoy it, or you don't. And I would say there's quite a high percentage of personal trainers that go into personal training purely for personal training. They've got no inkling to deliver a class. They just don't want to do it. That's not their style of how they want to deliver. You know, I've always said that you get personal trainers, you get group exercise instructors. It's very rare you'll get someone who can do both and enjoys both. There are plenty out there that do that, and some very, very good ones. But predominantly, it is that split, unfortunately. You're either a really good group exercise instructor or you're a really good PT. It's very rare you find that crossover where you have both, and you can push forward with it.
Would you say that maybe that's down to the way that the qualifications are delivered? But you know, I just thinking about myself, when I first started, I just wanted to help people. I'd been in the gym. I was a bodybuilder, and all I really knew was lifting weights. And because that's all I knew, I then went on and did my level 2, level 3. When I came out, that's how I trained everybody, because it's all I knew. Obviously, I've learned a bit since, and it's certainly not how I train people now. But maybe, you know, if if the qualifications were slightly different in terms of, what you were taught and what was included within your qualification, so that actually you came out a little bit more well-rounded by the time you finished your qualification. So it was up to you. It was up to you to decide what you liked doing, and probably that's where you're going to focus your attention. But the more strings you've got to your bow as a personal trainer, the better. To have a skill set for group exercise, to have a skill set for potentially massage, to understand nutrition, all these things become almost specialities after you finish your qualification. There's going to another point in terms of the qualifications that you would recommend to a brand new trainer. What would you say? You've come out, you've got your level 3. What would you say that the best 2 or best 3 qualifications would be to go to next?
I think it would depend on the person and what route they're looking to go down. To be fair, group exercise can be a very expensive route to go down, depending on how you want to take that. There's a level 2 gym instructor qualification gives you the scope to be able to deliver basic classes, shall we say. So like I say, your LBTs, your pumps, etc. Your other classes, you do need the qualifications for. Me personally, I've invested a lot of money in the group exercise side of things, but again, that's because that's my passion and I want to be able to deliver those different things to the best of my ability. Les Mills qualifications are very expensive. I mean, they were cheaper when I was going through most of mine, but these days they're running around about 425 for a 2-day course. Now, don't get me wrong, the knowledge that you take away from those 2 days is phenomenal. They are by far the most brutal courses that I've been on. They don't leave a stone unturned, and they support you after the fact as well. Yes, of course, there's a monetary gain to them, for your fees and then et cetera, but they want to make sure that you are delivering that product to the best of your ability to their standards. And they, I'm not too sure about these days. I think it may have changed slightly just with the way that the industry's gone. But when I first started doing their courses, it wasn't a given. It's not like, no disrespect, your Zumbas and things like that, where you turn up, and as long as you turn up, you're going to leave with that certificate at the end of the day, pretty much. The Les Mills qualification, if you weren't on it and you weren't hitting the points they needed for their assessment criteria, they would fail you. And I've seen people in tears after a 2-day training. It can be soul destroying. But for me, you need, in your own head, you should be setting your own standards and you should be pushing it forward. So in terms of courses, straight after a PT, for me personally, if group exercise is a route you want to go down, I would cover your basics first. So if it's not included with your package, spin, indoor cycling, whichever variation that a company is doing, for me, that is probably the first one that you should always look to get, because it's irrelevant of what gym you end up working in, there will be spin classes, and spinners are brutal people. They are hardcore, like most group exercise participants, to be honest. Yeah, spin or a variation of that would certainly be a first point of call for me. Then there's additional group exercise after that. There's vast numbers. It just depends on what you're into, if it's dance or HIIT or cardio or combat-based pump, anything like that. If you're not going to go down that route and you're just purely pushing for that personal trainer side of things, there's no harm in developing what you've already got. Now, once you've come through your PT course, again, you're still learning, you're still trying to get into that industry. So you don't necessarily want to jump into another course straight away. I would say maybe 6 months down the line of getting that experience and starting to build up what a personal trainer should be. It's then looking to expand from that. So that could be nutrition. There is a basic element of nutrition within the level 3 course, but it is very, very basic. So you could go down the nutrition route. Like you touched on, there's sports massage. So you could try and almost make that as there's a wellness package, let's say, that you could potentially offer with your personal training. Or there's even the level 4s, your strength and conditioning, your obesity, diabetes, pre and post. The courses are endless, really. it just depends on the person and what route or angle they're looking to go down. Like you see, a lot of people come into it and it's purely just to deliver personal training as it is, sort of basic, and that's it. But for me, like I said before, getting that level 3 does not make you a personal trainer. And unfortunately, within the industry, there's too many personal trainers that qualify and get that level 3, and then they never do another course ever, and they just continue with that. Which for me, you're not going to make a living being a personal trainer unless you're expanding your knowledge. The fitness industry changes constantly, and if you're not adapting and doing CPDs or even just doing your own little bit of research, you can't keep up with the industry. And unfortunately, there'll be people in the gym, there'll be other personal trainers that will have that other mindset, and they'll just overtake you, and you'll almost just get forgotten, so to speak.
Well, that does take me on to the next subject, which is tech. Tech's always was shifting and advancing, and absolutely sort of helps you offer something a little bit different potentially. Have you got any favorite bits of tech that you use?
Yeah, so today I've brought one of my prized bits of kit. So I don't know if people have seen these or not, but they're called Blaze pods. So quite a small little item, but effectively what these are, it comes with an app, and the app is pre-programmed with thousands and thousands of workouts, or you can even create your own. So what these do is you can have as many of these as you want. Obviously, it depends on how many you purchase. Personally, I've got, how many have I got here? 6. So I've got 6. So what these can be done is they can be attached through the back with suckers, the straps also, so you can attach them to pieces of equipment, mirrors, or you can have them as a standalone just on the floor. So they're great for reactive training. So what you'll do is the app itself will program your workout into these, and these will light up certain colors for certain things. And you basically you run over to them, you crawl over to them, you bear crawl, you burpee over, whatever it is that you want people to do. And all they've got to do is hit the top. The light will go out, and then it's keeping an eye out for other stuff. It's not just for reaction training though. You can do a lot of HIIT workouts with it. The things you can do with it are absolutely phenomenal. And for me, you've got a little tiny carry bag here with everything in that you need. Once they're charged, they last for days and days and days. You can do a workout anywhere. You don't need the gym. You don't need anything, to be fair, to use these, but they are a massive aid within the gym. I use these a lot.
I can imagine they're really visual. Well, I can imagine they're really visual. So that, if you're trying to create a scene and you want to get noticed on the gym floor for doing something a little bit different, presumably they flash different colors, are they? Or
they do. They flash different colors. Some of them you can leave solid, and then they can go off, and that can be your indicator of which one you want to go to. The range on them is phenomenal. So you can have them, if you've got a big area within the gym, like a PT zone or something like that, you can scatter them all over. So they can be used for sprints, like I see your bear crawls, burpees. I used to have people holding planks, and you'd have them laid out in almost a V shape away from where they were. And so the further they would have to reach, and they'd have to react quickly. And, it's surprising that when I first got these, it was actually I'd seen the advert for it on Kickstarter. They were looking to raise money to actually develop these. So I was one of the first backers. So I was quite lucky to get mine for free. Well, not for free, because obviously I had to pay to be the backer. But from the start of when I'd done that, bearing in mind they weren't a business at that point, the support, the contact from them, they're an American company, they were just constantly bombarding you, not in a bad way, but it was just what they were developing. They kept you up to date with everything. And again, now if you look it up online, there's a lot of Premier League football teams, Anthony Joshua, there's a lot of big sportsmen use these as part of their training. Anthony Joshua uses these a lot for punching and reaction training. Again, some Premier League clubs, there's Usain Bolt was using them at one point. I saw a video as well. So they've went ridiculous, and I think it's because people see the benefit of it. If you think of those old school what you used to see on the TV. You know, you'd have a big wall with loads of lights on, and you'd have to just react as quick as you can to turn them off. Effectively, that's the same thing, but with these, they're small, they're compact, they're portable, and you can put them anywhere. And you can program the app to any workout that you want. There's nothing that you can't do with it. I just think the scope for that is great.
Brilliant. Well, that's definitely something to have a look at. But finally, and look, before I ask you a final couple of questions, Chris, thanks for coming on today. I think there's been some really useful things that you've covered today. But talk to me about your qualification. So you've started your own company now, Umbrella PT Training. What was the premise behind it? What was the logic? Why did you get started in that particular field?
Yeah, so I mean, this was what 4 years ago. I did an assessor's qualification, and I started doing some freelance work for a couple of training providers that shall remain unnamed. And I was doing pretty much what I'm now doing myself, supporting learners, tutoring them, sort of all online and sort of over Teams or Zoom or whichever platforms were used, and basically getting them through their qualifications. And although there's a lot of money to be made in that, again, for me, it was going back to when I first started out. The money will come, so to speak. It was about helping people. And I think with working in the gyms as well, I'd seen a high turnover of PTs, and I'd seen a very high turnover of PTs coming in that weren't great, for want of a better way to put it. You know, they weren't PTs, they weren't good PTs. It was more of a status thing. And then I started doing this kind of work freelance, and I realized that the reason why the standard of PT that were coming through wasn't great was because they weren't being taught the right way to sort of come into the industry. And it was almost a tick box situation: get them through it, give them everything they need as quickly as possible, get the money in. And that was how it was going for a long time. And it just got to the point where I thought, I'm not comfortable with doing this. I'm not comfortable with signing people off to be a PT that didn't really have the knowledge. They hadn't really learned anything. Everything was given to them. So I thought, you know what, I'll look into it. It's probably going to be quite an in-depth thing to set up a training center, you know, but I looked into it, and as it turned out, it wasn't as difficult as I thought it was. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to set this up, and I'm going to do things the right way. I'm going to set people up when they leave or when they finish their qualification with Umbrella, that they're going into that sort of big wide PT world but knowing what's coming, you know, not sugarcoating things, not blowing smoke up their arse, and not telling them they're going to earn 30 grand a year and this is that and that is this. You know, it's setting them up with realistic expectations. You know, it's not to sort of be negative with them or bring them down, but it's just to make sure that they know what they're going into. Because as a manager, I've seen a lot of good PTs come into the industry and last a month or two, and then you never see them again. They're not earning money because they just haven't been set up right. So for me, I think it's focusing on getting them, not just delivering their course, not just ticking the boxes, signing them off. Yep, you're all good. You've got the knowledge. See you later. You know, we work with them and we spend a lot of time making sure that they're fully aware of what they're going into. We even cover off additional stuff with them as well. You know, even though it is built into the qualifications, little bits anyway. We try and cover off as much as we can for what, you know, setups and things like that. You know, which again touches on to what you're doing. You know, and that's why Umbrella saw a great opportunity to partner up a concept, because, you know, we've worked together in the past, Carl, and we sort of know what each other are about, and we know that we've got similar sort of mindsets about how, you know, we want to make the industry a better place, if that's a way to put it. And, you know, I think with what you're doing and what we're doing, I think we've got two companies that are ethically right, if that's the right way to put it. And I think the two working together, I think between us, we're going to put PTs into the industry that are fully prepared. They've got everything set up that they need set up, and we're giving them an opportunity to thrive and make that 30 grand a year. It might not be the first year, but we're setting them up 100% right. So at least down the line, we know that they've been given all the tools, and if they push forward with it and they listen, great. And they'll do well. They'll be successful PTs. And I don't think any other training provider offers that, really. It is a quick, I'm saying nobody offers that. There are companies out there that are really good. I'm not saying that all training providers are bad, of course. But unfortunately, a lot of it these days is about money. Whereas with Umbrella, of course, we're a business, but I want to be putting people into the industry that can make a difference.
Brilliant. If somebody's interested, where can they find you? Find out a bit more about the qualification.
Yeah, of course. So you can go to our website, www.umbrellapttraining.co.uk. Obviously, social media as well. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. The platforms. But yeah, just have a look on the website. Have a look at our courses. We do have quite a vast range on there. We've got some educational courses as well, so your assessor and your tutoring. So what we like to do is we like to train from within. So again, people who have that level 2 and 3, they maybe want to go on to being a tutor and helping develop personal trainers. We always have a fast track program where we'll get you through those qualifications, and then we'll part you up with one of our experienced tutors, and they'll give you sort of 3-4 months training, shadowing them. And then we'll more than happily take you on as a self-employed tutor, providing you're at the level that we would sort of expect. But we're willing to commit that time to people. It's about making change. And I think, if anything, this past year has taught us that we don't always have all the time in the world anymore. So we need to make changes now rather than, down the line having regrets and stuff like that. We do touch on other courses. We've got internal quality assurance, first aid, and etc. and stuff like that. Quite a big one at the moment for me personally that I would promote is the mental health awareness. That's certainly a course that I was of that mind myself, I'll be honest. A few years ago, never really got it. But yeah, the mental health awareness course is certainly something that opened my eyes. And certainly a lot of people that's done the course through Umbrella, and it gives you a whole new perspective of what people go through and how they suffer with all the different types of mental health illnesses that are out there. So that's certainly one that I would definitely recommend at the moment.
Chris, thank you. I'm going to put a link to your website in any of the in any of the comment boxes below. Wherever you find this podcast, you'll find the link. So Chris, look, thanks very much for your time today. Really appreciate it. Really useful. And look, good to catch up as usual, mate.